Judiciary Committee. Congressman, I want to make clear to people that the alleged connection between Trump and the Russia bank was not true. That was checked out, that was not the case. So what we're hearing now is the possibility that there was such a connection. Hillary Clinton said, yes, let's leak this to the media. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, and James Baker had come and talked, as did some of the other witnesses, to our judiciary. Well, it was a private questioning. And so some of this isn't new to those of us that were following it there. But to actually have a witness say, yep, Hillary knew that we wanted to go public with this, she agreed to it, that is a link we didn't have before. And so that's a big revelation. And we've all known, you know, Hillary Clinton was much more hands-on than her husband. Well, he was physically hands-on. She was verbally hands-on. She had to have approval of anything. That's the way she's operated. And so to actually have a witness that says, yeah, she approved us going public with this charade that we knew wasn't true. I mean, I know he didn't say we knew it wasn't true, but they knew it wasn't true. They knew they created this out of whole cloth. So this is a big deal, and this is how you start. Keep in mind, this is a charge just against Sussman, but this is how you start. And I would imagine the way that Durham works, it's a little too slow, but you get a conviction against Sussman, and then you say, okay, we're waiting sentencing, and what we recommend on your sentencing depends on how much help you give us to go up the chain. And then you work that case up the chain. I would imagine Sussman was not willing to do that, but once he's looking at prison time, I would expect you'll find him a lot more cooperative.
Well, isn't this kind of up the chain? I mean, when you reveal this kind of thing.
Oh, Bob, it's exactly. Yeah. This is shot across the bow to the very top. To the very top.
And what are the implications, Congressman? Because people have been saying they thought Hillary Clinton was behind this. Now, there are many other steps to go and dots that need to be connected. But the overall scheme alleged is that Hillary Clinton and her team were behind a Steele dossier, which included false information, including this allegation of a connection of Trump to a Russian bank. So where do we stand now?
Well, this is a connection. I really thought that it would take longer to get somebody to actually have Hillary with knowledge and approval of going forward with this conspiracy against Trump and the Trump campaign. But here in the very first trial, we have a direct connection now. So this is huge, and you're right to focus on it, because this is the connection that I wasn't sure we would have until further prosecutions took place. But here we are. She knew, and she approved going forward. So I think that you can, let me say this too. You're always thinking about other witnesses and who you'll get to come out and say, okay, I'll cooperate if you'll do this or that. You need that first linchpin. And now that they all know, oh, gee, Mook's already out there, maybe I better agree to cooperate and add something to that, or they're not going to find that I'm even worth talking to and negotiating with.
Yeah, Congressman, before we go, yes, sir. Before we go, I did want to ask you about the $40 billion approved both by the House and the Senate for Ukraine to fight Russia. Correct me if I'm wrong, I think you voted against that. And the reason I wanted to ask you about it is there are people that feel like if you don't give Ukraine the tools that it needs, which includes money and other resources, that Russia is more dangerous, and that this is money well spent to keep them where they are and to keep them from getting any stronger than they already are, including any potential alliances they may have with China and Iran.
But the key is your comment that this is money well spent. That's our problem. We'd already authorized 13 billion. In all of 2021, Ukraine spent 5.94 billion on their own military. We, as you know, the information that's coming out about the corruption and the money that Hunter Biden has received, the corruption, we know Biden negotiates well for his family. He used the federal government to say, if you don't fire that prosecutor who was coming after his son, then they don't get the $6 billion. There are too many things we don't know about that 40
Okay,
billion.
so let me just clarify. No, I appreciate everything you're saying. You want to know where the money's going, who's getting it,
Exactly.
how they're spending it. If that were the case, if you could verify those things, you would be in favor of spending more money for Ukraine support?
Went directly for those things, but it's a whole nother show to talk about some of the corruption that we found out about with the Obama-Biden administration, who they put in to provide the billions of American dollars going into Ukraine. We got to make sure that doesn't continue to take place.
Do you think those kinds of things are relevant right now to the discussion as far as Russia's power in that part of the world?
Bob, otherwise we'll be having a discussion in a year from now about, well, it turns out that, yeah, there was 40 billion, but it went here, it went there, it went to oligarchs, and it didn't get where it needed to be. We need to know, because we've seen the incompetence of leaving $85 billion of equipment to our enemies. There will be Americans in the future because of that. We got to make sure it's not going to come back to haunt us. And those assurances are not there. We didn't have specifics.
Right. Congressman Louie Gohmert, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.
All right. Coming up, President